Thanks for joining me today as we create the simple front fold card. I love this card design because it's a little different and it has so much excitement in store for the recipient. I'm Jen Lee and you are along with me on my Gentastic journey. It's my journey through early semi-retirement as I take you along to craft with me, and don't forget my 5 dogs, also known as my sidekicks, as they are a big part of my content. As our RV travels throughout the US in the spring and summer with our dogs. Now let's get to today's project. This is the card we will be creating together today. I love unique card designs and this is one of the easiest. Here's what you will need. This is an A2 sized card, so for your card base, one piece of cardstock that's 5.5 by 8.5 inches, shown in off-white, and second piece of cardstock that measures 5 by 8, and 2 pieces of shimmer paper. I bought these in 4 by 4 inch sheets. Let's take out our crafting mat. We will start by folding your card base in half to make your card. Use your bone folder if you have one to make a crisp crease. So far it looks like a normal folded card. Then to make the fold, you'll want to take the first half of the card and fold it onto itself to create the simple front fold part of the card. Then you will need to take the pink cardstock, and using my paper cutter, I'll cut it in half. Half will go in the card and the other half I will cut in half again to use for the simple fold on the front of the card. The other piece we will set aside to use for some embellishments later, or it may get added to the saved scraps pile. We will use this heart embossing folder for the small pink paper for the front fold. I will emboss that off screen. I'm going to use the embossed heart image popped out for the front fold. I will adhere it to the front fold like this later when we assemble the card. I will use this beautiful die to create a die cut on the right side of the card that you will see from the front since it peeks through. I'll use this removable tape. It's a Scotch tape brand and it never rips my paper. I die cut that off screen, and look how cleanly that comes off to reveal this pretty dainty die cut out. I have a brush tool that came with this black foam mat. When I have these intricate dies that have all these little pieces, I use this to pop them all out. We're going to use the hearts later. Now to place the shimmer sheets behind the pink die cut paper, I want to use the lighter and darker colors to give it even more dimension. You can go crazy with this and use many colors or patterns. I just love this shimmer. I'll be using my Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. It's my favorite glue as it dries fast and it doesn't leave any marks behind if you're a messy gluer like me. I do put the pin back in the glue between gluing just because it does dry so fast. I'll adhere the first darker piece and then the second lighter shimmer piece after I decide to cut it first to save as much as I can for another project. Then just make sure the 2 pieces don't have any gap or you'll see it on the front side. I need to trim a bit of the overhang from the shimmer paper before we get to the next step. Next we will adhere the pink quarter sheet to the front fold. I will use the Barely Art glue again as it's embossed, so tape is always tricky to adhere to uneven surfaces. So glue is usually best, or a tape runner would work as well. You want to center it so you have an equal border around the pink. Next, let's take some off-white scrap paper to create our largest heart that will hover between the front and inside of the card. I have a nesting heart die set, and I will use a medium heart to cut out the off-white cardstock. I usually die cut off screen, but I want to show you how it works. I have an Off-Nova die cutting machine that I got from Amazon, and I think it's the perfect size. Here's the heart cut out. I will cut out the next 2 sizes of the heart die set as well, but in pink. One will go inside of the off-white heart, and the other we will use for the inside of the front fold. All of the main hearts are cut out now. I will use my tweezer tool to poke out the hearts. In most dies you'll see a small hole in the metal die. It's a pin-sized hole. You can poke that to push out the paper on the other side. Very helpful when the paper is stuck in the die. The off-white heart will have a pink smaller heart on the inside, then the smallest pink heart will go on the inside of the front fold. We will die cut out the smallest heart die in shimmer paper, just to give the larger heart more pizzazz. I will use this tiny punch to make a shimmer heart for the inside of the dark pink small heart. Then I will use the same punch with the scrap piece of paper that was used to help me to decide which color of ink for my sentiment. I will add a very small heart to go on the inside of the shimmer heart. That will go on the inside of the card front fold as well. I will glue the hearts together. As you can tell, I love the Barely Art precision glue. I literally work it on every part of my projects. If you have a favorite glue, let me know in the comments below and let me know why. Glue is so essential. Okay, the card is coming together. The big heart will go on the front fold and it will hover over the inside of the card and it will act like a handle to open the card. I close the card to determine where I want the heart to sit. I will use a pencil to mark where I want the bottom of the heart to hit. Next, I will add glue only to the side of the heart that will be on the front fold, so only the left side. Since the tail or bottom of the heart is more delicate, I want that to sit on the fold so it doesn't get damaged when opening and closing the card. Now we need to determine where I want my inside stamped sentiment saying to be. I don't want to see the stamp, I want it hidden behind the heart, so a couple pencil marks will ensure I stamp it correctly. I am using a rubber stamp that says, "You make my heart happy." I will use a Stampin' Up! Stamp pad, and I decided to match it to the darker shimmer paper, so I used a color called Highland Heather. I always like to stamp on a scrap paper to make sure the edges aren't showing and to ensure I have a crisp image. It's a good habit, as stamping can be tough this far into a project. Then I'm going to stamp on the pink paper to the left of the pencil marks. We will set that aside so as not to smear it. The Stampin' Up! Pads dry quickly, but no need to rush it. You can always use a heat embossing gun to dry projects if you prefer. Meanwhile, we'll add the small heart to the inside of the front fold. Next, I will pull my foam mat from earlier and will attach the little pieces from the die cutout and add them to the inside of the front fold of the card. I sped this up as it took some time. I think this inner hidden panel gives the recipient more to look at with so much detail on it. This is looking great. Now that the inside is dry, I will erase the pencil mark and just look at that sparkle with the shimmer paper. I'm loving it. Now I will make sure the spacing is correct so I can adhere it to the card base. A little more glue and that will hold it well. My tweezer tool allows me to keep my fingers free of the glue. How is that so far? Now for the sentiment on the front of the card. I want to use some letter dies to create the word love, and we will trail the letters down the front of the card diagonally. I die cut them out. Now I will use my tweezer tool to push them out. Don't forget to use your little pin hole to help push them out from the metal die. I will glue the L in love to the card front, using my tweezer tool to assist with these small letters. Then I will line up the rest of the letters to make sure they all fit, staggering them halfway down each letter. This will make for a nice fit. Now I will glue the rest of the letters down. This is going to be the very last step of this card. How do you think it came out? Let me know in the comments below. There are a lot of varieties to this card and I'll show you some of them at the end of this video, but first I have a bonus for you. It can be unique to somehow tie the envelope in with the card. Sometimes I'll reuse a stamp that I had used on the card, but here I really enjoyed that swirl of hearts die. So I will cut that out on the back of the envelope flap on this off-white envelope. Now I'll use a piece of thin pink construction paper that I had a scrap of, and I'll trace the envelope flap onto it. Now I will fussy cut that out with my Tim Holtz scissors. I love these for fussy cutting. I will add all the tools that I used that I can track down in the description below. I do not have any affiliations with any of the suppliers. They're just what I use and like. So hopefully that list helps you. I will glue the pink to the flap and press it down. I do a half at a time just so that I keep it in place. The envelope, while off-white, is not quite as deep of an off-white as the card base of the card, but I like that they will coordinate. Next, I'll show you other versions of this card that I made. I really enjoyed this card design, and I hope you did too. If you liked this video or found it helpful, please click the like button. I post videos weekly, so please subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications bell so you can be notified when my content comes out. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to creating with you in the coming weeks.